Let's take a look at problem 7-15, which asks us to calculate three different answers involving the return on common stock. Okay, the problem says that we buy a share of Ludwig Corporation for $21.40. We expect it to pay dividends of $1.07, $1.14 49/100ths, and then $1.22.5 in years 1, 2, and 3, and we expect to sell it at the price of $26.22 at the end of year 3. Okay, so I've laid out when we expect the dividends, the years, and the stock price. Okay, then we solve part A. It's calculate the growth rate in dividends. Well, I'll use it with I'll do this using Excel's rate function. Let me hit this so we get a nice pop-up. So you can see that on the screen. Okay, the number of periods is 2 because we're tracking the dividend growth from period 3 from period 1, or to period 3 from period 1. So the net number of periods is 2. Okay, there's no payment involved, and the present value is, let's enter that as a negative and point to cell B13, and then for future value let's point to cell B15. And when we do that, we've entered everything we need to use Excel's rate function to come up with a growth rate in dividends of 7%. Let me get that formatted right. Okay, now the next thing we need to calculate is what's the expected dividend yield. Okay, and the way we do that is we take the dividend in the first period, right, divided by the stock price. That's how we calculate the expected dividend yield. It's right from the formula in the text. Let me format that as well. And we come up with 5%. Then on part C, they let us know that assuming the calculated growth rate is expected to continue, we can simply add the dividend yield to the expected growth rate to come up with an expected total rate of return. So I'll just use the sum command, and we get 12%. Alright, now I want to show how you would do that using another Excel feature, the internal rate of return function. Right, so let's look at the cash flows, because I think this is more in line with how I would approach this. Alright, I'm going to make a couple changes here, but we'll copy this down. Now, once we have a $sign, we really don't need it, but let's keep the decimal places all at the same level so the numbers line up. Now, the stock price, to use internal rate of return, we're really involved with what's the return. Well, we're going to assume that share of stock you buy at the beginning is a cash outflow. So let's just multiply that times -1. Okay, so if we do it this way, here's the cash outflows we expect from this investment in the Ludwig Corporation stock. Well, let's calculate what's the return on it. Since we know that the return is equal to, if you will, all of the net cash flows, and you're interested in calculating the value, you can use the IRR function, to a rate of return. I'll click this again so we can see that. And then the values would come from right there, right? Out the first year, then these are positive ones. Now, the IRR function asks us to return a guess. Oh, we expect 7% growth, and then there's some other. Let's use 10%. Okay? And the end result, as you see, is that we will come up with the same answer. So there's two ways to calculate the expected total rate of return, and this second approach is more in line to how I would have gone about solving it.